Thank you very much to all, and welcome to this new presentation after excellent colleagues from UBT University and from Pristina Rea. I continue this very interesting panel of presentations, and please allow me to call you all colleagues, but I would like to refer to you also like ICT sector lovers, since we are all here to celebrate the developments, the future expectations, and the steps that we are all doing together in the ICT sector and digitalization sector here in Kosovo. It is undeniable that ICT is seen as one of the most promising developing sectors for the future economy of this country. And most of the people in this room today, we are believing in it, starting from the students of technical schools that are sitting with us today, the professors, the private companies in the business, and the prominent software development companies that are with us here today, sitting in the first rows. Thank you very much for being with us. I've been very nicely introduced by the moderator of this event. I repeat, my name is Daniele Cristian Passalacqua. I'm Italian, and I work for the Luxembourg Development Cooperation Agency, implementing at the moment 2 projects together with my 2 teams, funded by the government of Luxembourg and by the European Union office in Kosovo. Today, I would like to tickle your curiosity from on one hand, but on the other hand, I would like to give you very interesting information that are going to lead us through a journey. We start explaining that we have had, in the last few years, very important and interesting developments in terms of TVET, in terms of vocational education and training in the sector of ICT. And this has been done together with the private sector and the public schools in order to follow the request of the labor market. And we're going to explain you how we have come to the development of new curricula, new teaching and learning material, e-learning content, in order to have qualifications that are responding better to the request of the labor market and the future request of the labor market. At the same time, we're going to show you which schools and what could be the projection or the expectations of workforce that we can have in the Kosovo labor market if we work all together in that direction. I'm going to give you also some numbers about that. Then we will continue explaining how private companies, they can cooperate with the public schools to make this possible. And we will, at the end, finish with some of the newest developments in terms of digitalization of services in the education sector. I hope this brief introduction made you a bit more curious and more interested. And I will proceed now with my slides. I have here a brief summary of the 2 projects I was mentioning before. One is called Supports to VET Reform, Phase 2, financed by Luxembourg. And the second one is called SVET Pro, EU support to VET and professional requalification and occupation. I will not enter into the details of the project, but I will go straight to one of the main achievements in the sector of ICT. We have developed 5 new qualifications. Actually, we have developed lately 14 new qualifications, and in the last few years, probably around 40 new qualifications. But I will focus on those 5 that are related to the ICT sector. Starting from the last in the list, application developer. I would like to mention one thing. When we decided together with the local institutions, with the Ministry of Education, with the schools, to go for this challenging project, somebody was skeptical about the fact that application developer is a course, a diploma for pre-university education. Some people said, like, maybe this should be taught in university. Then, after consultation with the private sector, consultation with university professors, and with many experts in the sector, we realized that in other European countries, and let's not forget that we are in Europe, there are diplomas, and pre-university education is dedicating space to application developers, to graphic designers, IT system technician, IT business support technician, and interactive media designer. These profiles have been developed in collaboration with international private companies, associations coming from different EU countries and Schengen zone countries with the highest standards of education, and following a model that is, let's say, an adaptation to Kosovo to the so-called dual badge system that is very famous in other countries like Austria, Germany, Switzerland, and many other examples. And probably it is one of the directions that the Kosovo vocational education system could follow in the future in order to develop better qualifications and education in this sector. How did we come to these conclusions? How did we decide that we wanted to have these 5 profiles? Of course, we start with preliminary investigations. We consulted experts, as I mentioned before, and it is a joint work that our projects that are co-implemented together with the Ministry of Education and other institutions and agencies of the government of Kosovo. And for this reason also, I would like to thank the Vocational Education Department of the Ministry of Education, because without them we could have not achieved all these amazing results. But a big thank, it goes to some people, and some of you probably are sitting with us today in the audience, is the private companies that have been involved in the labor market information, studies and research. 2 main elements of our research. One is called TNA, Training Need Analysis. Another one is SKNA, Skills and Knowledge Need Assessment. Going short, the first one tells us if a certain profile is requested in the labor market, is going to be requested in the future labor market, in which number and in which geographical distributions and many other data in relation to the request of those specific profiles. SKNA is telling us if the functions that we are choosing in the occupational standards, so in the description of the skills and the learning outcomes that have to appear in the curriculum of a certain profiles, are going to be matching with the request of the labor market. And these 2 elements are extremely important. I have to say that Kosovo has done really great progresses in the last few years in this sense, because we are optimizing our offer in vocational education and training on the base of these investigations, on the base of the real demand of the labor market. At least we try to do it in the best way possible, but more and more we have to communicate the message not only to the students, the families, and the institutional stakeholders, but also to the future employers. Vocational education and training in the public sector is not anymore the old-fashioned one. We have a new version of VET that is responding to your demand, and it is developed in collaboration with you. And in the next slides, we're going to see how and why. But talking again about the labor market investigation, we have consulted more than 400 companies. We have conducted 335 interviews for TNAs and 71 in-depth studies for SKNA. And we have analyzed several profiles. More than 90% of the companies expected to have an increase in demand for ICT occupation by 2024. And 2024 is really behind the corner. We're not talking about a long term. We're talking really like the day after tomorrow. We are very close to 2024, without forgetting that the enrollment of today in school, it is the workforce of 3 years from now. So if we know that something is going to be demanded in 3 years from now, today is the moment when we have to enroll the students for that specific profiles. And we have to make sure to provide them the right skills and the right trainings in order for them to be prepared. The project supported vet schools in the profiles that I mentioned before. And thanks to the support we have received from the Ministry of Education, Science, Technology and Innovation, we call it MESTI, we have been able to pilot already these 5 profiles in 7 schools in Kosovo. 7 selected schools that have been committed in cooperating with our projects, who volunteer to start this challenge together with us, and they're getting extremely positive results. But what I'm going to tell you as a teaser now, we're going to see that this is needed to be replicated at national level, and this is a very important element of what we are mentioning. So we have 7 schools that are implementing for the moment IT system technician and business informatic technician. And we have 2 schools. One of them is 11 Mars in Prizren. The other one is Skender Lorazi in Suareca. Are implementing graphic designing technician and interactive media designing technician. It's a bit unfair if I don't mention like Pieter Bogdani in Ferizaj, Shaban Spahia in Peja, Gilan, Vuštri, and I hope I'm not forgetting Suareca I mentioned, of course. I would like to show you some numbers. If we see the graphics, I don't know if they're visible from distance, the first graphic is showing us IT system technician profile. And in blue, we have the number of students that are going to graduate in this profile in 2 years from now. And in green, we have the number of students that are going to be graduating in this profile in 3 years from now, because they've been enrolled this year in September. You see, the numbers are not huge. We're talking about 131 and 145. And I'm sure that some of the employers that are here today, or they're following us in streaming in Facebook or in YouTube, they're gonna say like, these numbers are not sufficient. Okay, it's a good start, but it's not enough. We need much more than that. We know. The labor market investigation that I mentioned at the beginning, it involved in workshops the most prominent companies in the sectors of software development, ICT, IT systems, and so on. And they told me straightforward, Daniel, we need much more than this. Exactly, and this is the reason why we are now here asking for your help and your cooperation. We have business information system, similar numbers. You see, we expect to have 108 in 2 years. This is only with the few schools that we are supporting. And these are the numbers for mediamatician, interactive media design technician, and for graphic designing. We're talking about small numbers. Then you tell me, so IT courses that were not existing in vet schools? No, this is not the right answer. They were existing, but there was only one course called informatics, IT. Unfortunately, the skills provided in that course, they are not always updated. They're not always responding 100% to the request of the labor market. For sure, the schools, they do their best to provide to the students a certain level of knowledge in informatics, preparing them to enter the labor market, to access the labor market. But when they access, they have a certain gap, and they need a certain training in order to arrive to the desired level of competence of the employers they're going to meet. For this reason, the next step that we have to try to do together is to bring at least other 15 schools. So the 7 I mentioned before, plus additional 15 schools that are nowadays teaching informatics with the old curriculum to implement the new curricula. Of course, this is a challenge for the schools, it is a challenge for the municipalities, it is a challenge for the Ministry of Education and all the other institutions. But I think it is a challenge that we have to take ourselves as projects, as ICT lovers, as stakeholders in the sector, but especially the private companies and the employers. We need your commitment to achieve one milestone. And the milestone I would like to propose to ourselves is, let's imagine that the 7 schools we support, plus the other 15, implementing at least one class for each of these 5 profiles, starting from either next year in September or September 2023. This is a proposal, this is a wish that I have, and I hope that private and public stakeholders are going to listen to this wish of mine. If we have 22 schools implementing at least one class per profiles, what we can expect is to go from 886 technicians graduating in 23, 911 technicians graduating in 24, and 2,640 technicians graduating in 2025, and this is like the best we can do if we hurry up, or maybe 26, and provide some oxygen, providing some nourishment to the employers who are really thirsty, if you allow me the metaphor, of having competent technicians nowadays in Kosovo. And this is something that we have been recording in every single workshop, in every single event that is involving the private sector. And I have documented reports about this event. So we have been doing a lot to enhance that institutions. And one thing that we have created in order to facilitate the cooperation between the private sector and the schools is the so-called business model approach. For those that are not new to the vet sector, for those people that have been following us in this journey of vet development in Kosovo, this concept is not new. And also for many private companies it's not new neither, because we have already hundreds of companies that through this business model concept, they became part of the middle management of the school. But for those that still don't know, and for those companies of ICT sector that are listening to us today, I want to explain what is our vision. Our vision is to have a new set of responsibilities in schools that is going beyond the traditional way of managing a vet school. We're going to have a management that is focusing on all the activities that are currently part of the set of responsibilities of schools, plus 3 new pillars that are going to modernize the way to think vet provision in Kosovo, that are going to embed the private companies into the middle management of the school. That means sharing responsibility, sharing the efforts, but also sharing the results and having a joint decisional power and activity in the management of our schools. As I usually say, we cannot think that we ask private companies to be part of the process if we don't give them the chance to have their saying and be really listened by the management of the schools. For this reason, the business model approach gives 3 new pillars: industrial liaison and career guidance unit, information system and data management unit, and service provision unit. I think these 3 titles explain themselves. They're self-explanatory. So I will not go into details, but just quickly mentioning service provision unit, what it is. We can have income generation activities. We can generate, we can develop new services in our schools for the community that can be either socially beneficial or they can be also generating income that can be used in favor of our schools and for the development of the qualifications that we are mentioning. How do we embed companies in the middle management and why we do so? First of all, what is the business model concept? New school governance model, new set of responsibilities, as I mentioned before, increasing relevance, quality, and sustainability, and embedding the private sector in the internal process and decision-making of vet schools. This is like in 3 bullet points summarizing what I was trying to say in a few minutes. This is the the graphic that shows the pillars that I was mentioning before, and shows where the business model office stands. But what I would like to share with you is at which stage the companies, they get embedded in the middle management of the school. And these are the industrial bodies. You see those blue circles over there, and the industrial advisory board that is just below the school board and the school management. I try to summarize this concept, but try to follow me very attentively, because sometimes might not be so easy to understand. Our schools, they have different profiles, except centers of competence that normally focus on one sector. Our vet schools, most of the time, they have profiles from different sectors. Can be metal workers, technician, IT, tailoring, and the plumbing in the same school. It means that the companies we are looking for to cooperate with the school, they're coming from different sectors too. If for each profile we create an industrial body where around 10 people are going to be members, 10, 12 people, we foresee minimum 3, maximum 10 companies to be represented in each industrial body, allocating human resources to donate 1 day per month of their time for the collaboration with the school. We're talking about human resource experts, about technicians, about those people that really know what the company is looking for and what is the future employment of their company. This group of people, they will deal with updating and upgrading of the curricula, with the improvement of the education, with all those activities related to industrial liaison, career guidance, and service provision that I was mentioning before, because we know that the schools, they cannot have sufficient human resources to deal with all these activities. And the market is so dynamic, these sectors are developing so fast, and ICT is one of them, that sometimes we all struggle, and our schools, they have difficulties in following this dynamism. If we joined our forces, if we work together with the private sector, all this can be done. Of course, we have developed also digital tools and guidelines and new instruments that can help and facilitate this cooperation. But what we are asking to you today is, what we are asking to the private companies today is, be part of our industrial bodies. Invest little of your time in being part of this process, and of course you're going to have a return in the middle long term that's going to be massive and impressive for your company. Today I might sound as if we are starting this process today, but it's not true. As I mentioned at the beginning, we already have hundreds of companies that have been convinced and are cooperating in this project together. We have 61 industrial bodies in 9 vet schools established, with 218 companies in the schools that have piloted this system already. We have more than 15 PPPs, private-public partnerships, agreement formalized in our schools. And we have 89 memorandum of understandings between our schools and companies for the inclusion of business representatives in the schools and being part of the middle management structures. What is the next steps? We hope these companies, these representatives in the industrial bodies, in the future to become members of the Industrial Advisory Board. It is a new board that provides constant advice and has very listened saying in the management of the school. And who knows, probably in the future, being also elected or becoming members of the school council if the future legal framework reforms will allow this process. This is at least what I wish to foster as an expert in the sector. I was mentioning before about digitalization and how information systems and how ICT sector can come in favor of optimizing and improving the management of the schools, the management of services, and if we are sitting here together, it means that we'll all believe in that. I don't think there is any skeptical sitting between us, but if there is any skeptical watching this presentation in YouTube streaming or in Facebook, the elements in favor of digitalization are many. With digitalization, you can reduce the cost, you can reach many more people, you can generate reports in a very dynamic way. You can reduce pollution. You can definitely increase the efficiency of the services, and many other reasons that we could mention on why we digitalize services. One of them is the digitalization of career guidance services. A few years ago, we have developed a system. It's called Bussola.com. Bussola in Albanian language means compass. I'm sure that all of you know about it. And definitely, Bussola.com as a compass tried to help students, families, adults who want to reorient themselves in their career to have a better direction in their career development, in the choice of their education, and in the better understanding of what means choosing a certain career, a certain path in their life. The features of these systems are many, from the school finder to the job finder to the occupational explorer and many others. I'm not here to mention them all. I just want to remind you the success story of Bussola.com, because they've been awarded as the best public service in Kosovo at the Albanian ICT Awards contest in 2019. And because we have more than 200,000 users at the moment, and have been recognized by many institutions in Kosovo, many development cooperation agencies, as the successful tool for the provision of career guidance services. Before Bussola, provisional career guidance was sporadic, and it was not harmonized. Thanks to this tool, and thanks to digitalization, we are having a bit more harmonized services. Still a lot needs to be done in career guidance, but through these tools is a way how we can reach to that level. Another example of good cooperation in ICT sector, I wanted to mention our cooperation with the EU-funded project called EU Support for Competitiveness of Kosovo, ICT sector, and some of the representatives of these projects are here today. It is a very great initiative for the development of digital skills in Kosovo, and through the cooperation with this project and the schools that we are supporting, we have selected together the beneficiaries of these trainings. Also, I think the professor who did the presentation before me, he was one of the trainers in this project for very advanced modules of cybersecurity, digital skills, and so on. And this project had also a very great impact, not only in the society, in all the beneficiaries of the society, but also at school level. And the teachers of vet schools of today, they are much more prepared than the teachers of the past. And I want to say this again to the private sector, to encourage them to cooperate with our schools, because our teachers today, they are more motivated, more competent, and more suitable than in the past. And this is thanks also to their effort and their commitment in this project. We have also provided more than 20 computer labs to our schools. This is still not enough, but having 20 computer labs more, it is definitely one of the elements that will allow us to proceed in digitalization. Last slide of today, a new challenge, digitalization of assessment. We have said before how digitalization can increase transparency as well, can increase efficiency. Now we are developing a new system that will digitalize the testing of the formative assessment or the final assessment in vocational education. And we hope that next time we're going to sit together in maybe in COS ICT 22 or 23, we're going to see the result of this system. If this presentation tickled your curiosity, go and investigate about Evaluo, that is a cloud-based testing system, and you will see their future developments. Here are some of the features, but I don't want to mention all of them. I could mention others. We are developing with Global City graduate tracking system, trace study system digitalized in Kosovo. And we are developing with PBC a system for recognition of prior learning, all digitalized. We are in the era of digitalization, and I hope that our enthusiasm and our success and the achievements that we had with our projects is going to be contagious and going to drag you in and pull you in this very amazing journey that we are doing in the development of ICT sector and digitalization towards the transformation of education in the digital era of 2021. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.